Assalamu alaikum everyone, hope you're all fine. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to explain the one very important topic of database, and that is normalization. Normalization is a process used to construct a relational database that has integrity and in which the data redundancy is reduced, so there is no duplication. Tables that are not normalized will be larger, and as more data is stored, it will be harder to update the database when changes are made, and more difficult to extract the required data to answer queries. So this is one very important activity that is done while creating the relational databases. As you will see and understand that how a database, how a table, how a relational database is going to be very complicated whenever you are adding something new, or whenever you are updating, or you're making any changes. So the process of normalization makes sure that the database becomes the right with the true sense of the relational database. Now let's have a look on this table. This is a school database, and in this school database there's a single table that could look like this. And you can see that it has a student name, first name, second name, date of birth, class ID, location, teacher name, license number, address, and teacher date of birth. Now this is the form of the table or the database which is not normalized. And there are certain things, certain features, or certain issues that you can easily find out in these kind of databases. So now let's talk about the problems that will occur. Now this could cause problem with alterations are made to the record. So what kind of alterations? Like every time a new student is added, for example, this is a student Noor Beg, and if a new student is going to be added, the teacher name, address, license number, date of birth, and the location of the classroom need to be added as well. So this has to be repeated. So a new teacher, a new student addition, like the way you can see that student ID, Noor Beg, and date of birth. So this is something related to a particular student. So with the class ID, so if a new student is added, you need to enter now what. So class ID is fine, location is fine. You need to every time add the teacher name, the license number, this detail, this detail. So every time these details are to be added the moment you add a new student. All right. And likewise, if a student like Mr. Khan leaves the school, not a student, it's actually the teacher, sorry. If the teacher leaves the school and is replaced by another teacher, then every record containing his name and other details need to be changed. So all the places where Mr. Khan name is used, like here, with so many students, so all those places are required to be updated, or their name need to be changed with the teacher's name who will replace that teacher. All the students from class 7B leave, then all the detail about 7B will be lost. So this is a complex thing. This is the issues that arise with the database when it is not normalized. All right, I'm sure this point is clear. Now this non-normalized database is normalized after passing through 3 steps. Step number 1 is the first normal form, step number 2, and step number 3. All right. So these are the steps which the database has to. A non-normalized database not normalized database, when it is normalized, so it has to pass through these 3 steps, these 3 processes, like the process of 1NF, 2NF, 3NF. So these 3 steps are required for the database to be fully normalized. All right. So what is in the first NF? Now I'm going to explain all these 3 forms. These are actually the normal form, first normal form. This is the second normal form and third normal form. In the first normal form, entities do not contain repeated group of attribute. I will explain it in the next part of my videos. And the second normal form entities are in 1NF, and any non-key attributes depend upon the primary key. There is no partial dependency. This is the 2NF. And 3NF says the entities in the 2NF, they are in the 2NF, they are already in the 1NF and 2NF, and all non-key attributes are independent. The table contains no non-key dependency. Okay, before I move forward, I just wanted to make it clear that what are the keys and what are the non-keys. The key attribute, and then the non-key attribute. Key attributes are the attributes that are either the primary key or the foreign key, or they are part of some compound key or the composite key. All right. Any attribute that is in any ways any kind of the key. It can be primary key, it can be foreign key, it can be composite key. So they are called key attributes. And the non-key attributes, an attribute which is not any of the key. All right. They don't belong to any key. They're just an independent key, independent attributes. They are not the keys. They're not neither primary key, neither foreign key, neither composite key, neither secondary key, any key. All right. So I'm sure this point is clear. Now let's have a look on this database, the student database again, school database. It includes subject choices for each student. Now if you have a look on this table, you will see and you will find this table actually in the not normalized form. How? If you see that the student ID, first name, second name, date of birth, subject name, so it has math, history, geography, subject teacher, Mr. Yi, Mr. Yu, Mr. Khan, class ID, 7A, location, this, teacher name, this, license number, this, address is this, and teacher date of birth is this. Now, you can see here that these spaces, the blank spaces you can see, these are actually the area that you left for the values that are written over here. All right. So likewise here. So it means these are kind of certain repetitions. One thing. So there is the repeated groups. And then the teacher name, Mr. Khan, and so Mr. Yi, Miss Wu, Mr. Khan. So there are certain things. So some of the things are very obvious and very clear in this table. Now let's see that what the first normal form says. Okay, before that, if we see this table, the student table, now this student table, it can be written in terms of the attribute. It can be read in terms of the attribute. Like the first of all is the, just hold on. If we see this table collectively, you can see that the student ID, this one, the first name, the second name, first name, second name, date of birth, subject name, all right, subject teacher. So if I read it like this, I'm reading now like it is student ID, first name, second name, date of birth, subject name, subject teacher. Then again, subject name, this was for this. Now subject name, subject teacher, subject name, subject teacher. We have to repeat this 3 times here. Zooming in so that you can read it again. So what I did, first name, student ID, first name, second name, date of birth, subject name, subject teacher, subject name, subject teacher, subject name, subject teacher. So the attributes, they are repeating. All right. So the same thing is mentioned here. Subject name, subject teacher, subject name, subject teacher, subject name, subject teacher. And then comes the class ID. So this is the class ID. And then the location, it's fine. Then teacher name, license number, address, and date of birth. All other entries, they are taking only one row to be stored in this table. Only these 2 entries, like the subject name and the subject teacher, they are taking 3 rows to be stored in the. So it means here you can see that the subject name and the subject teacher, subject name, subject teacher, they are repeating. All right. So this is the problem. This shows that it is not a normalized form. I will just mark these ones so that the point must be very, very clear. So the subject name, subject teacher, subject name, subject teacher, subject name, subject teacher. So these entries, they are clearly seen as repeated. All right. Now, the student subject, this means that the student subject and then the subject name and the subject teachers are the repeating attributes. So basically, we concluded that the student subject and the subject teachers, they are the repeating attributes. And for this database to be in the first normal form, these need to be removed to separate table and linked to the original table with a foreign key. Now, the first normal form says that there must be no repeating group. All right, no repeating attributes. So the attributes which are repeating, they will be separated. They will be separated in a separate table, and then that table will be linked to the original table with a foreign key. Now this is what is done over here. This is the same that is done. Now the student, now if you read, you can see that the subject, student ID, subject name, and subject teacher, these 2 attributes were repeating in this table. So what we did here in the first normal form, what we did, we removed those repeated and we take it to the another table. Okay, now if you see the table becomes the student ID, first name, second name, date of birth, class ID, location, teacher name, license number, address, and teacher date of birth. Now all the entries, they are stored in 1 row. They are not taking 2 rows or 3 rows. None of the attribute is taking more than 1. No repetition is seen in this table. Now the repeating attributes, they are taken out and another table is created, and another table will have the primary key of this table created there as a foreign key. All right, so this is how the relationship is also ensured. So this is the primary key, here it is, and here it becomes the foreign key. So this is what is written over here, that to a separate table linked to the original table with a foreign key. All right, so this is the first normal form. First normal form is done. This was the first normal form with no repeating attributes. This is the important point. No repeating attributes in this table. All right. Then now what is this is the form. Now when the table is in the 1NF, now you can see that how it look like. The student database, now it is in the 1NF. It can be represented in the 1NF as follows. Now we have 2 tables, student and student subject. Student has student ID, first name, second name, date of birth, class ID, location, teacher name, license number, address, teacher date of birth. And then the student subject is student ID, subject name, and subject teacher. Okay, now there is a question that they both have the same keys. This is the primary key and this is the foreign key. How can a foreign key be the primary key of the student subject? All right, so that for that you can see that it is mentioned here that the primary key for the student subject table is a composite key. Composite key means a key which is not created by a single key, rather it is created by the combination of more than 1 key. So 2 attributes, student ID and the subject name. So basically we can say that in the subject table, student table, this is the primary key, and in the subject, student subject, we have the key like this. So they both collectively become the primary key. So you must have seen this thing in some past paper question, that 2 foreign keys collectively as a composite become the primary key for the linked table. So this is something. So basically normalization is also the the creation of the link table between many-to-many relationships. So this is another way of defining the normalization. All right, so I'm sure the 1NF is clear. Now moving to the 2NF. Now the 2NF says, after doing the 1NF, 2NF, after 1NF is finished, we have 1NF, then we move to the 2NF, and then we move to the 3NF. So the point here is that when we move to 2NF, it means the table is already in 1NF. So 1NF is done, then we'll move to the 2NF. 2NF doesn't mean that you are not doing the 1NF and you're straightly going to 2NF. All right. So the 2NF now, there are now two tables here. The student subject table, the primary key is the composite key, and the subject teacher is only dependent on the, okay. Now in the student subject table, if we see the student subject table, primary key is the composite key and the subject teacher is only dependent on the subject name part of the primary key. The point here is that the subject name, subject teacher is dependent on the, what does it mean? I'll write it again here to make the things more clear. Student ID, student ID, and the other is the subject name and the subject teacher. Now the point over here is that these two are the composite key. So I mean this is the composite key. This is the but the point over here is that the subject teacher, this subject teacher is only relying on the subject name. Okay, it is dependent on the subject name. It is not directly dependent on, it is dependent on one part of the composite key. Okay. All right. This means that the subject teacher is partially dependent. We can call it partial dependence. So this is partial dependence, that the subject teacher is relying on the subject name, which is one part of this primary key. Only one part of the primary key. The subject teacher is dependent on that. So this is the partial dependence. So the 2NF says that this partial dependence, there is a partial dependence and it need to be removed by introducing a third table called subject. So there must be no, 2NF says no partial, it says that there must be no partial dependency. All right, this is important. No partial dependency. This is what the 2NF says. Now see how we do this. Now this was the first table, this was the second table, and now it is broken again into another table. Now the subject name is dependent on the student ID, and the subject teacher is dependent only on the subject name. Now the partial dependency is removed. You can see that the partial dependency is removed here. All right. This is the 2NF. This is 2NF. If you see this in here, the school database can now be represented in the 2NF. Student table, it is as it is, student subject, subject name and student ID. It only has subject name and the student ID. These both are the foreign keys, and it is actually the composite key. Now the student subject only has the subject name, only has the primary keys, foreign key, which is made by the foreign key, and the subject table is now subject name and subject teacher. It has subject name and subject teacher. All right. So this also shows the way we created the relationships. Basically, this is the student, then student subject, then here it is. And see the same one-to-many relationship. This is one, this is many, this is many, this is one. So the same thing is implemented, and this is the 2NF. This is the 2NF. All right. Now moving to the third NF, which is very important. In the third NF, now there are 3 tables which we have created here. All right. In the student table, the attributes location and the teacher name depend upon the attribute class ID, and the attribute license number, address, and teacher date of birth depend upon the attributes teacher name. If you see, we are coming to the table number 1, this one. It says, you can also go down. It says that there are now 3 tables. In the student table, the attribute location and teacher name depend upon the attribute class ID. So the location and the teacher name depend upon this is the teacher name, and the location, it depend on the class ID. They both depend on the class ID. All right. And the second point here is, and the attribute license number, address, and teacher date of birth depend upon the attribute teacher name. Teacher date of birth, address, and the license, they depend upon the teacher name. I'm sure I'm not messing up, making the things clear. So it means, you see, these are now called this kind of, these are non-key dependencies. All right. These are non-key dependencies that need to be removed. Means, now in this table, if you see, the only table that is the key, that is called the key, is the student ID. So this is the primary key. All other keys in this table, they are all the non-keys. Basically, they are all non-keys. They are not keys. None of the key in this table 1. So this is the table 1. All right. So in this table, you cannot see any, all the non-keys. So we can call all these are all non-keys. All right. And all non-keys, they all need to be dependent only on the primary key. There must no interdependence. But we can see, as I said, that the teacher name, the location, this is the teacher name. They are dependent on the class ID. The teacher name dependent on the class ID. So likewise, the teacher date of birth, the address, the license number, they are dependent on the teacher name. They are dependent on the teacher name. Dependent on the teacher name. All right. So it means these attributes, they are not fully dependent on the primary key, rather they are interdependent. So this is the indication of the third NF. Third NF says these are non-key dependencies. So there must be, these are non-key dependencies that need to be removed to ensure that the database is in the 3NF. So this stage is also worth inspecting the database and its content to consider any other problem that could arise, such as the following. Teacher name might not be unique. Therefore, it is better to use the license number as a primary key. Teacher can be both class teachers and subject teacher. So there are other aspects as well in the third NF. But the main point is that the non-key dependencies must be removed. All right. So what we will do here now, you can see now that the teacher table, now we are doing student ID, first name, second name, date of birth, and class ID, license number, teacher name, address, teacher date of birth, class ID, location, license number. So this is how they are. And then the student ID and the student, so if we see the subject name and the license number, now they're all taken away. So what we have done, we took these, I'll just clearly mention, non-keys, they are taken out. So class ID, location, and teacher name. So one is this group, and second one is this group. We are left with the student ID, first name, second name, date of birth. So this is here, student ID, first name, second name, date of birth, and class ID. This is the foreign key, so that you will not leave the tables without the connection and the relationship between them. So the use of the primary and foreign key is there. So this is the table that is left from this, and the other one is the so class ID is already there. So the location, class ID, location, teacher name. You can see this class ID, location, and license number. So it is again the license number is going to be the foreign key, as a foreign key here because it is the primary key. So the license number, teacher name, address, and teacher date of birth. So that is again license number, teacher name, address, and teacher date of birth. So license number is unique, so primary key is going to be the license number. And then the student ID and the subject name, student ID and the subject name. So they were already there, student ID, subject. So these two tables are copied as they were already. All right. So this is how you can see the first table was split into 3 tables. These 2 tables were already there. They were already done in the 2NF. So this is the job of the 3NF. And the purpose is, now if you see, no non-key is dependent on the non-key are only dependent on the primary key. The first name is fully dependent. It is on the primary key. It is on the primary key. So this is the foreign key. So the teacher name, address, teacher date of birth, fully dependent. No non-key interdependency. There's no interdependency, location, and this is already done. So the other 2 were already created. All right. So now if you see this, the improved school database can now be represented as in the 3NF. Now the student table, student ID, first name, second name, date of birth, class, class ID, location, license number, teacher, license number, teacher name, address, teacher date of birth, student subject, student ID, subject name, subject name, and license number. So now the database, which was originally in this form, this database is actually converted into, this was the non-normalized database, which is fully normalized, and it become this by the end of this whole process. So this is the fully normalized relational database. All right. I'm sure it is clear. Now let's see some of the questions to make the things more clear. All right. Okay. All right. So past paper questions, I've also I'm going to attempt 2-3 questions from here, so that now if you take a look on this question, a software development company has a relational database, software management. The database stores detail of the customer who have purchased software, as well as the software and license that the customers have purchased. The software management database has the following table: customer details, software purchased, and the customer details has customer ID, company name, address 1, address 2, and city. And the software purchase, software name, software description, customer ID, license type, license cost, and renewal date. Why this database is not in the 3rd NF? Refer to the tables in your answer. Do not attempt to normalize. There's no need to normalize it. All right. You just have to tell the reason. All right. All right, so we have to find out the reason that why it is not normalized. So if you have a look on it, if you see, especially in this table, there's a problem. And what is the problem? You can see that the license type, license cost, renewal date, they only depend on the, so there are some partial dependencies found, and then there are non-key dependency in the software purchase. So these are the non-keys. These are the non-keys dependency on the what? The license cost. All right, the customer ID is the foreign key, so this is the foreign key, so we are not going to check this. The license type, they are the license cost, and the renewal date, they are dependent on the license type. So this is the one of the big reason that we can refer over here. So what we will write there is a non-key dependency in the software purchase. All right. This is one of the point that you can mention. And the second point is the software purchase, software name, software description. Software description, yes. Software purchase, as in this table you can see that both of the keys, they are underlined. So it means that this is the composite key, all right? Because both of them are underlined, so it means it is a composite key. So it means, and if you see the software description is only dependent on the software name, not on the customer ID. So this is another point. There are partial dependencies. Again, there are partial dependencies in the software details. The software purchase, sorry. All right. So we can write these 2 points over here. All right. So there are many questions. I will refer these questions. I'm referring these questions in the past paper, which I'm doing in the full length series. For the further understanding of these things, you will be referred. You can watch the other videos to completely understand how to attempt the questions on it. All right. So this is all for today's lesson.